right, we are excited to welcome you and your child to Transitional Kindergarten or TK for the upcoming school year. Our TK parent session is designed to help you navigate this important milestone by sharing the vision and goals of NVUSD TK program, providing an overview of what a typical day looks like, and offering strategies to help your child prepare for a successful start. While our session will provide a general overview of our district-wide TK program, please remember that any site-specific questions should be directed to your child's principal. Before we continue with our presentation, please click on the QR code to access the slide deck, either in English or Spanish, if you want to go ahead and follow along in a different device. So I'll give you a quick second if you want to be able to do that. We will be projecting the slide deck in English, but if you want to be able to access it in a different device, this is your opportunity to do that. Okay, and with that, I would like to introduce our team who will be part of tonight's presentation, and I'll go first. So my name is Alejandra Uribe, and I am the Director for Multilingual Learners and Parent Engagement.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Matt Manning, and I am the Executive Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Multilingual Learner Services for the school district. And thank you all for being here this evening. We're really excited to be able to share a little bit about our TK programs with you tonight. Carly?
Hello, good evening. I'm Carly Miller. I'm a district academic specialist who oversees the TK Transitional Kindergarten program.
Hi, my name is Tiana Young. I teach TK at Phillips, and I'm also on the TK leadership team.
I am Leah Ortiz. I'm also a TK teacher at Willow Elementary, and I am part of the TK leadership team also.
Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey Dawkins. I am the manager of Expanded Learning.
All right, thank you. I think we got everyone, right? Okay, so here we go.
All right. So again, thanks everyone for being here this evening. In my role as overseeing curriculum instruction, I also oversee the programming of our TK classes, and I work in conjunction with Carly and our TK leadership team to develop a really strong TK program for your children, for our students. And so we are going to talk this evening, as Dr. Uribe mentioned, provide a high-level overview of our TK program and what a day in the life of a TK student would be like in NVUSD. So we'll start out with our vision for TK and NVUSD. We've expanded from 7 TK classrooms about 5 years ago to now over 35 classrooms. So really exciting expansion and growth in TK. We'll talk about what the TK day looks like and the experience for your child, how you can help your child prepare for success, and then we'll spend some time talking about the childcare options that are available to you in our schools. Next slide. Okay, so our vision for TK that we developed is here on the screen, and our vision is that the NVUSD Transitional Kindergarten Program provides children with a developmentally appropriate, safe, nurturing, and engaging school experience. So through that program, we are all about building autonomy and self-esteem for our students, developing creative problem solvers, developing that academic readiness for kindergarten and elementary school coming up, and then really focused on the social emotional skills and empowering students with the social emotional skills that they need to be successful, not only in TK, but again, moving on into the upper grades of elementary school. Next slide. So we wanted to provide a little bit of a definition of what that developmentally appropriate means, because that term can sort of get thrown around a lot. So we work closely and look to the National Association for the Education of Young Children to guide some of the work in our development process. And our teachers have been engaged in training with the NAEYC. And so what developmentally appropriate means to us is that we are promoting each child's optimal development and learning through a strengths-based, play-based approach to joyful, engaged learning. So we look to what are the strengths that every child brings, Every child develops at a different rate, but what are the strengths that they bring to school? How can we leverage those strengths in our classroom? What are those opportunities for students to learn through play? We want our classrooms to be joyful. We want students to be engaged, and all of that is creating the learning environment that we're seeking for our students. So we're all about really meeting the students where they are. We recognize that with our TK programs, now that we've expanded, we have students who are coming into our classrooms who are just turning 4. Some of them are even still 3 years old when they arrive to our TK classrooms. And when they leave, most of them are 5 years old. So there's a lot of development that happens in that age span. So you'll hear a little bit about our TK, the TK Preschool Learning Foundations, which help us determine where each student is in that learning journey and how we best meet the needs of students across that spectrum of development. Next slide. So I'm going to toss to Carly Miller, who will talk a little bit about our goals as a TK program and how we build a strong foundation in TK. Carly?
Great. Thanks, Matt. So as Matt mentioned, we're really building on that vision of creating a developmentally appropriate, safe, nurturing, and engaging school experience. And we really do that by identifying these main goals. The first, as Matt mentioned, is we are aligned, we're standards aligned, or as they call them in early childhood, foundation aligned to the California Preschool Transitional Kindergarten Learning Foundations. We love our acronyms in education. So those standards really do guide our work. I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. Our second big goal is to promote and provide active learning. We want to provide play-based opportunities, as Matt mentioned in kind of our vision statement. That really is a point of differentiation, as well as being able to balance the modalities, really thinking about balancing teacher-directed and child-centered activities. Again, leaning into that developmentally appropriate definition that Matt mentioned. And then we move into that multimodal instruction, essentially a phrase that we use a lot to really determine how our instruction can engage all those modalities: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile. And then last, really leaning into language and literacy, providing rich opportunities for oral language and vocabulary development. These 4 goals were really crafted together with the TK teachers and keeping in mind the things that we want to stand for in our program. All of this will really build that strong foundation for our students as they navigate into kindergarten and beyond. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we are aligned to the California Preschool Transitional Kindergarten Learning Foundations. There are 3 main volumes that are make this up, and they have skill and knowledge domains in the following. So that first volume really has this social emotional development. We know that's so important: language and literacy, English language development, and mathematics. Volume 2 has that dips into visual and performing arts, physical development, and health. And then that final volume, volume 3, has 2 domains focused on history, social studies, and science. And as Matt mentioned, these standards, or foundations as we call them, are really unique because they provide an age-based foundation statement. The early age is 3 to 4.5, and the later is 4 to 5.5. What this allows us to do is to really target the expectations for our students in those age ranges, knowing we have a wide range of ages that enter our TK classrooms in NVUSD. So really leaning into this, giving us an opportunity to differentiate either to that early or later stage. We have also aligned our trimester progress reports to these standards, so we can provide parents an update around how your student is progressing in these different domains. Next slide, please. So what does this look like and sound like in our classroom? I'm now going to pass it to Tiana and Leah, our TK classroom teachers who are here tonight.
All right. Hello. So for this slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes our TK program developmentally appropriate. So just meaning that the teachers have taken a lot of time over the last couple of years to focus on our learning environments and teaching methods that meet the specific needs of our youngest learners. So you can see on this slide that one of the areas we take into consideration are engagement and play in our classrooms. So we provide lots of opportunities for students to learn through play. So that's sort of the theme for our TK classes throughout the district is play-based learning. So we're providing opportunities through dramatic play, the use of costumes, puppets, acting out stories. So all of our learning is theme-based, so we can use these learning and play opportunities to support our theme-based learning. So an example of the engagement in play might be that we have a unit on transportation. So teachers might make an area in their classroom and turn it into like a train station or an airport, and then students have the opportunity to wear costumes and act out what's being taught in the classroom. And this is a good chance for students to interact with each other, to use vocabulary words that are being taught throughout the lessons and things like that. So we have another section of agency and choice. And as Matt had mentioned earlier, we put a big emphasis on allowing students to kind of choose activities in the classroom and be the ones to sort of guide their learning. So the teachers are providing lots of opportunities for choice throughout the day, always supporting the themes that are being taught in the classroom, and then students can kind of choose what activities they would like to participate in order to support their learning. So as Matt also mentioned earlier, students have different interests and different needs, and we of course want to support that in our classrooms. Our learning environments in our TK classrooms are important to us as well. So just providing physical environments to support student learning. So, and also in addition to that, providing certain materials to support their learning as well. So lots of sensory items like Play-Doh, kinetic sand. We have sensory tables with water play, finger paints, all that kind of thing. And then also a balanced focus between social emotional well-being and academic experiences. So in TK, of course, we put a large emphasis on academics, so teaching the letters, the sounds, numbers, counting, making patterns, and all that, but an equal amount of focus on children's social emotional well-being. So basically, learning to get along with their friends, problem solving skills, getting along and interacting with teachers, using their words. So basically just learning how to be a student. And we just really want to prepare them for their learning that they'll be doing in kindergarten. And then, so in addition to that, we also have a program called Education Through Music. So the teachers this last year have put a lot of work into learning this program that uses songs and interactive play to sort of support students' social emotional experiences in the classrooms as well. Okay, so next slide. All right, so how do we spend our time in our TK classroom? There is a pretty good balance of teacher-directed and child-centered activities. So we do most of our learning through smaller group activities, but we do have a certain amount of our day where students are participating in whole group activities, which would be like carpet time, and this would be our time for more teacher-directed instruction, which is a small part of our day, but this is the time where we're introducing our theme learning, vocabulary, concepts that we're hoping for them to master. So they're taking what we're talking and learning about in the whole group, and then teachers are providing opportunities for practice during small group activity. So rotations with the teacher in small groups, or also with our IA, our aid support. And then during these smaller group times is when the teacher can spend time with students to support things that they might need more support in, to just take time to sort of observe and see how the students are doing individually. And then just focusing on individualized instruction and how we can best meet the needs of individual learners. Okay, next slide. All right, and so on this slide, we're showing the typical structure of a TK day. So obviously each classroom throughout the district is going to look just a little bit different, but this structure is kind of giving you an idea of what each class is doing in general. So each TK classroom is provided breakfast and lunch daily. Every class has a set time where they're served breakfast. They have the opportunity to eat breakfast as a whole group together. Each classroom has a language arts time. And like I said before, they're taught what the teacher is teaching, and then there's opportunities for practice of those language arts concepts throughout the day. We have free choice time, we have snack and recess. Each TK class is having different math activities through our math curriculum. We have learning centers, which we call plan and play, that Leo will talk about a little in the next couple slides. All TK students are provided lunch, and then we usually end our day with a closing circle. So we have a good balance of learning and play. Social emotional focus is embedded all throughout our day. And I think Leah will take over the next slide.
Thank you, Tiana. All right, so the next few slides are showing pictures of the actual TK classrooms that we've had throughout the district. When you walk into a TK room, you're going to see many developmentally appropriate items that foster students' learning. Every part of the classroom is designed to be language rich, from the carpet area where we gather together to the centers that the teachers have created. It all supports conversation and interactions between all of the students. You will see examples of how our classrooms use purposeful play to help children talk and listen, asking questions, explain their ideas, and learn new vocabulary, which is our oral language development. For example, in this picture here, you can see the kitchen. This is an area where children can share their materials, describe their ideas, they can problem solve, and they can just take over the little area and play with it as they want to. You also see on the other slide, there's a creation station. This is where students can help foster their creativity by making art projects or letters to their family or friends. They're using their fine motor development by using stickers or coloring or cutting. This was a huge center in my classroom this year. They really enjoyed it. They were very excited to learn each other's names and give their family members little pictures that they made at school. This all has the teachers modeling their language and encouraging conversation and giving many opportunities for the students to use their voice. Next slide. In the next two slides, you're going to see what we call plan and play. And these are our learning centers. This is where the students get to use the language that they have learned. It provides opportunities to engage in imaginary play. So a teacher will give different scenarios presented around the room. So there may be dramatic play or blocks or a sensory area that the students can go to. They get to pick, they get to choose where they're going to go and where they would like to participate for the day. And during this dramatic play, they engage in their pretend play. They use props. You can see that they made their own little background there. They're deciding who is going to be who and what should be in that dramatic play area. These are building the stages of play. So they're using their imagination and making connections to real life situations. They have to figure out who works at a hospital or a vet or a farm, what do they do there, what do they need, what problems might arise. And all of this they're doing, and they're using their new vocabulary, developing their self-regulation skills. Play is the number one way that they learn to show their growth in their confidence and communication and collaboration. And this is where they practice what they have been taught in the classroom. And it's really exciting to see how excited they get when they get to go and play during the day. Next slide. These are some more examples here. There's the sensory table, and you can see how engaged the middle students are there. They are creating a vet station, and they're looking at x-rays, and they're talking with each other and completely engaged and interested in what they're doing. And this is an opportunity that students get every single day in the TK classroom. Next slide, please. All right, here is our Curiosity Corner. There are 18 thematic units, and this is our curriculum that helps guide our instruction as teachers. The students are learning through hands-on exploration, play, stories, songs, and meaningful interactions with each other. It develops the whole child, like Tiana was talking about, and in each theme throughout our day, it guides our instruction by introducing a new word for the day, which you can see the little puppet down there is curiosity. He has clues and questions, and he introduces our wonderful word. We have a read aloud that we read to the students. We have a daily message. They get their plan and play opportunities and a reflection at the end of the day. And you can see that there's a lot of units, and they last about 2 weeks, but it really immerses them in the language and the theme that we work on. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. I just wanted to jump in there quickly and say that the program that we're using, Curiosity Corner, the state of California provided school districts with funding to support the expansion of TK classrooms. So what you're seeing in those classrooms, we have purchased the items that support all of those thematic units and those centers for all of our TK classrooms. So while you will see some variance and some differences in what teachers are bringing into that space, most of what is supporting these units, you will see consistently in place across all of our classrooms because we've been able to make those purchases to really provide that nice space for all of our TK students across all of our classrooms.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the home school connection, very important element for this age. So we want to kind of talk about or lift up a few things that we really think can support your development of your student. So what can you do at home? As Leah mentioned, she really kind of walked through how we build listening and speaking skills in our TK classrooms. And one of the ways we do that, as she was kind of articulating for us, what the use of those that unit vocabulary. So your teacher will communicate which unit we're focused on, which again, as Leah was mentioning, we really live into that vocabulary and kind of immerse them into that in that play-based environment. So again, really lifting that up and making connections with your student around that vocabulary, asking those open-ended questions, the what, how, and why. We want our students to go beyond just words and phrases and really model what that good oral language looks like. We want to encourage conversations turns. There's been a lot of new research around how this rising generation of students needs more exposure and practice with conversation turns. So going beyond just 1 and 2 conversation turns and modeling what that looks like to have a continued conversation. We promote that a lot in our classrooms in those developmental ways, sort of like through play. But building on that will be a great help help for your student, as well as modeling what expanded language looks like, repeating what they said, add on to what they say, just getting the students, we call it recasting, getting them to go ahead and speak in more complete sentences. All of that is really going to bolster their listening and speaking skills, which really is a focus of our program. Next slide, please. Another important element of that we want to lift up under the California Preschool TK Learning Foundations I spoke about early is social emotional development. And these next two areas are actually written out on our progress report. So you'll be seeing updates around this when you receive your progress report from your teacher. So one of the main areas is looking at the child's sense of self-awareness. As Leah and Tiana both articulated, the importance of having that social emotional development woven throughout our day. You can make connections at home by really talking about those feelings, naming and expressing those emotions. That's what we do in the classroom. Sharing our interests and really encouraging students to share ideas and preferences, really asking them to kind of go beyond, again, just that word and phrase level. Offering choices throughout the day so that they can begin to build that independence without being reliant, not necessarily on an adult. That's another big thing. We want them to be able to communicate and be with each other in the classroom, and again, have a really good sense of self-awareness. And then last but not least, really celebrating those big things they do, or even little things they do, and honoring that perseverance that they have to kind of work with each other in the box station, for example, just kind of tapping into those. Next slide, please. And then under that social emotional umbrella, you'll also see on our progress report is relationships, your child's relationship with adults. So obviously the main adult in their classroom will be their TK teacher as well as the instructional aide. But becoming part of our TK 5 system or TK 8 system regarding what school you might be at, really that relationship to adults is super important. So being able to spend that time together, carve out some time to do an activity, read a book, again, listening and playing off of what your child says, modeling what kind and respectful words look like and sound like, and then helping your student feel safe in asking questions and asking for help. So that's kind of that relationship with adults. Next slide, please. And this is the last one we really do focus on, is their interactions and relationships with peers. For some, this might be their first exposure to school, and we really, early on, we want to build that foundation for them, and we want to invite them to think about how they would build friendships. As Leah and Tiana both mentioned, that's largely through play-based, which is right there in that developmentally appropriate spectrum. We talk about how they take turns and how they share, how we can begin to get them comfortable with that by just living in and doing that. Practicing communicating with others instead of just grabbing for an item, asking me, please pass the block, or it's my turn with the block. Practicing that kindness and empathy as well. When they're communicating and working and playing together, this comes pretty authentically and naturally. So just helping your student build on that as we think about what's important for that homeschool connection. Next slide. And now I'm going to pass it over to Matt, who's going to talk a little bit about our TK technology use.
Yeah, thanks, Carly. So we were able to send out a survey to ask parents some questions. So we've woven the responses to some of the questions that were coming up from parents into our presentation this evening, and there were several questions about the use of technology in our TK classrooms. So we recognize that the American Academy of Pediatrics that recommends limited screen time for children, and that when there is screen time, that it be quality, and that the context is really important, and it's guided by an adult. So the primary technology tool that you would see in a TK classroom is what's called a Promethean board. And at first glance, it would look just like a really large TV screen, and it's an interactive whiteboard. So we would expect, and that's where teachers will write on that interactive whiteboard. There would be some of the slides that they might be showing from some of the activities. There's modeling demonstrations that happen through the Promethean board. So we would expect, we have some really clear agreements in place with our TK teachers. So we would expect those to be used no more than 30 to 35 minutes throughout the day. And again, those are intended for instructional purposes. So in an interactive way, not necessarily in a passive way where students are just watching something on the screen. But that is the primary tool, technology screen time that would happen in the classroom. Historically, we have had iPads in our TK classrooms as well. Going forward, we won't have iPads in our TK classrooms in the way we have in the past. Teachers may access iPads for specific activities, for a special project that they want to do with students, but iPads just aren't a part of our TK classroom experience for students going forward. So the primary technology tool that you would see in classrooms is that Promethean board. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to share this slide with Audrey, who oversees again our after school program. So the first piece of this is as you're preparing for the first day of TK, we wanted to give you some access and some reference to some reading that you can do with your child. So there's a link here in the slide deck to a website that provides lots of great books to help prepare students for going into TK. It might be a transition from preschool to TK, a new school for a student. For some students, it might be the first time that they're in school. So reading some of these books with your children would be a great way to just help them prepare for what's coming around the corner in TK. And then I'm going to let Audrey speak to some of these other aspects around readiness for TK because they also very much apply in our after school programs as well.
That's right. Thanks, Matt. So I did want to touch on the fact that it's super important this summer to make sure we're taking the time to foster independent skills in our littles. I know as a busy working mom myself, it was always easier for me just to do it for them. But taking that pause and taking that time to make sure that we're allowing students to focus on their independent skills, letting them learn how to open their own juice, letting them open their own bag of crackers, maybe practicing with some child-safe scissors to open up packages and will really help us when it comes to not only the school day, because there's only, usually one or two people with a group of 10 to 20 students. And you can imagine if everyone's waiting for snack time and getting their things opened, it can cause a little bit of stress in the students. So we want to make sure that we are really equipping our students with the independent skills this summer. So let them practice. It's an opportune time for us to be able to give them the chance and the tools to be able to be independent at school. Another big point is the fact that they are going to be on new campuses with they tend to go from their current, maybe it's a smaller setting to a larger setting. And keeping that in mind, we just want to make sure that they are ready and able to use the restroom independently. Our staff after school really are going to be able to coach students through things like pulling down pants and zipping up zippers, but they're not necessarily going to be helping them. So what a great opportunity it is this summer for them to get to do and practice on their own. So let's make it easy for them. Let's help them with easy to pull on pants, maybe leaving at home all of the cutesy one-piece jumpers, overalls, belt buckles, buttons, things like that. We just want to make it easy and quick for students to use the restroom independently. There is also a toileting independence document that you can take a look at your leisure later. So there's a lot of great tips in there on how to make sure that your student is ready to independently use the restroom, but both during the school day and after school. So the school day, all of the TK classrooms have bathrooms in them, but after school, that may not be the case. So we are usually either doing a lot of potty stops or we are in a classroom that has a restroom. So it's a little bit different at each of our campus. So we just want to be really mindful so that students are ready to use the restroom. And if there is an accident, that we're also ready to support students with, changing themselves with dignity, having a safe place to do that, and also being able to manage that type of change into clean clothes on their own. So those are some great things just to keep in mind. Did you want to add anything to this one, Matt?
No, I don't think so. Again, just the what Audrey is describing around that toileting independence is it applies during the school day in the same way it does during the after school program. So thank you for supporting your child at home and developing that independence as they prepare for TK.
So I will go into the next slide and we're going to talk about after school. So it's important that everyone knows that every NVUSD elementary campus has an on-site after-school wraparound program to support TK students. So the programs across the board start at the end of the TK school day, regardless of the time. Some of the schools let out at 12:30, a few at 12:45. So our programs are there after school to ensure that you have the 9-hour day access that you need for your students to be in a safe, nurturing environment after school. These programs are staffed with either NVUSD employees or with one of our partner programs, which are the Boys and Girls Club or Cool School, which is run by Napa County Office of Education. There's a document linked into this slide that you can look at later, and it gives you the registration links to the enrollment forms. So our enrollment really happens year round. We do enroll students in these programs all throughout the year, but we do have an official enrollment in period which begins in February. So if you've already submitted an application, you should have already been notified of your student's placement into the after school program. If you haven't yet heard, make sure that you reach out to our office. I can make sure that I link it in the chat. Hopefully I can link it in the chat. I'm not quite sure, but I'll figure that part out. So that you can reach our office and we can point you in the right direction, regardless of which program you've enrolled your student in. These programs are intended to complement the school day learning, but not duplicate it. So it's not School 2.0, but it's an after-school program that partners with the school day staff to really extend the learning foundations after the school day ends. So you'll see some of the activities are somewhat the same when it comes to things like opportunities to play with Legos, opportunities to make choices, play with Play-Doh, practice your cutting and your writing and all of those types of activities. But it's really meant to be an opportunity for students not to be in school for 9 hours, but to have a little bit more freedom and leisure to make choices that are slightly different from the school day. So our program, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, also known as ELOP, you might hear it with that acronym throughout your school years here, are after-school programs that provide family support during out-of-school time. That means anything before school, after school, our winter break and summer camps that all offer hands-on activities to strengthen the student experience during out-of-school time. Since this presentation will be available to you after, you're able to take a peek at the sample daily schedule. It includes an opportunity for students to have a daily snack that's provided by our own district's food service department. We have a rest time, so students are offered the opportunity to either just lay down, take a rest, look at a book, just have some quiet time because they do tend to get really exhausted, especially in those first weeks of school when everything is new and everything is really excited. Those littles are tired, so we offer the opportunity for them to take a rest. They'll have a chance to play outside, do age-appropriate activities, and really have a lot of opportunities to make choices and build independence in their social emotional development after school. So the next slide, a little bit about our logistics and arrival. We partner with the school day to make sure that we are picking up students from classrooms, picking up the correct students, making sure that students maybe that aren't coming to us that day, all of that gets communicated with the school day teachers. So we really do partner with the school day staff to ensure that students get to the right place after school. Like I said, the youngest students, our TK and our kinders, are picked up directly from the school day classrooms. If your student is going to be absent for whatever reason, it's really important that you report it directly to the after school program. There isn't a way for us to get that information from the school office. School offices are super busy and they have a lot to do, especially during that after school crunch time. So if your student is not going to participate on a specific day, just let us know. It really helps us out with not having to track down and make those phone calls after school. Another point that is super important is that your student does not have to participate every day after school, and they don't have to participate for the entire duration of the after school time. So our programs are open till 6 p.m. every day after school. But if your child is only going to stay with us from the time that they get out of school at 12:30, and maybe you have older students that are being picked up at 2:30, that's totally fine. We are happy to welcome your students from 12:30 to 2:30 or beyond that. It really depends on whatever your family needs are. Like I said earlier, a daily snack is provided, but you're always welcome to bring additional snacks. I know that some children are just starved or some are a little on the picky side. We also let students go ahead and grab their lunches if there's something in there that they didn't get to eat during their morning lunchtime. So there's lots of opportunity for them to have a nibble if they need to after school. As Matt said, we align our after school technology use with the school district's use guidelines. I've linked it here if you want to take some time to take a look at that as well. In order for your student to really be prepared for the day, we listed a few things that are essential. So that full change of clothes, just in case. And it's not necessarily just because your student is maybe going to have an accident, but there's opportunities for them to do water play. Maybe they're doing making slime, like other reasons that they could get dirty during the day and maybe want to change into something clean. So a full change of clothes in their backpack daily is essential for after school. We also welcome them to bring a blanket and a small comfort item that gets left in their backpacks after school for that opportunity for them to rest and feel comforted during that time. So feel free to pack those items on the daily. And a little bit about our enrollment. So we do prioritize our UPP students, and that is families that qualify as foster homeless, English language learners, and any family that is free and reduced lunch eligible. Those families get prioritized in our after school programs. And also there are no fees associated with that placement for those students. So the program is free to families that qualify, but we also have a sliding fee scale in place that helps to support family affordability across the board. So there are different tiers, and the way that we determine that is by you stating what your income is. So during the first few weeks of school, we have something called data confirmation, which you'll hear a lot about in your first few weeks of school. And it's really important that you state what your income is during that process, because that's how we determine your after school fees. So if for any reason you state nothing, we usually end up defaulting to our full cost rate unless your student already has been determined to be one of the qualifying criteria that I mentioned before this. And lastly, and really, most importantly, sometimes we do run into a staffing shortage. We have tried very hard to alleviate all of our wait list this school year. But you can imagine that if you just submitted an application for your child's after school program, maybe you just received notification that your child was accepted into XYZ school, or you need to make a change based on an acceptance into a school that you had not originally been enrolled in, which happens all the time. You may have to be waitlisted until we can make sure that we have the appropriate staffing in place to make sure that we can maximize our enrollment and reduce wait times for families. So we really do monitor those wait lists continuously. We continue to hire throughout the school year in order to make sure that we are alleviating wait lists. So I don't want to scare anyone. Our goal is to have 0 wait lists. But if we do need a little bit of time to make sure that we have the appropriate staffing in place, please allow us a little bit of grace and a little bit of time to get that done. And we're happy to take phone calls and emails during that time to make sure that you are well informed of where we are in that process. So that is all I have. I'm super excited for all of you to be joining NVUSD, and I think it's super cool that 147 participants are on this call, and they'll be the same people that you're sitting in the stands at Memorial Stadium just a short 14 years from now. As a mom that just had a student graduate after 13 years with NVUSD, it's a pretty awesome full circle moment. So welcome and thank you.
Thanks, Audrey. That's great. And can you share? There were some questions coming in the Q&A about how families can reach out to your office. Can you provide some information about that?
I'll go ahead and type my information in here.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our presentation for all of you. Again, we just want to thank you for taking time to be with us this evening. We are genuinely really excited to welcome your students into our schools next year. I also want to give a shout out to our TK teachers and leaders, Tiana, Leah, and Carly. We have an amazing group of TK teachers ready to welcome your children. And these three have taken a break from they're taking some time away from their summer break this evening to be with us. So we wouldn't have wanted to do this without you this evening. So thanks very much for being here. Okay, so if you have specific questions that are coming up about your child's school, of course you can reach out to, or class, you can reach out to your child's principal. They're there for a few more days, and then they'll be back in the first part of August. So you can also reach out to us if you have any questions that come up that are more general questions. And again, thanks everyone for being here this evening, and we hope you all have a very happy and safe summer. Alejandra, anything else that you wanted to close out with?
No, just once again, thank you so much for joining us. We did record the session, so we will be sharing that in the next few days. So if you want to revisit any of that information, it'll be available for you. Other than that, have an awesome summer, and we look forward to partnering with you in August. Have a great rest of your evening.